You already know what time it is. It's your boy DJ Richie Skye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. Skye Squad, we are back in the building. Happy Monday morning. We have got quite the investigation on our hands today, so I'm going to need all hands on deck for this one. We're going to need all hands on deck to figure out who is the real villain. Is it the Godfather of Atlanta, aka Phaedra Parks? Is she responsible for all of this? You know, what is Angela's role in all of this? You know, there's so much that I have questions about that I feel like I don't even know that I feel like I can trust my own eyes on this show at this point. I really don't. And I've got maybe some controversial opinions about some of the cast members of this show at this point. And I am just interested in understanding how all of this is playing out. All right. So get on in here, get into the room. Let me know. And who is the Junebug? Who is Junebug? Right? Like, who is Junebug? And you know, I got a lot of opinions, and it's just like some of the speculation just is a little bit annoying, right? Some of the speculation to me is a little bit annoying because I think it's coming from some cast members that we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, I have put the chat on the screen. Listen, don't say nothing crazy in the chat, because if you do, I will eject you faster than they can escort Marcus out of the event. Well, they didn't escort him out. He actually left on his own. But I'm telling you, I will have you escorted out, okay, if you say something crazy, right? And by escort out, I mean eject, block, delete. You will never see us again, okay? You will bless us with your absence, and we will all be happy for it. How about that? That's number one. Say something crazy, you're out, okay? You see something crazy, report them, and then they out, okay? That's how we doing it. Now, with that being said, all right, we're going to talk about the episode. I'm going to get into it now that I've gotten all that out of the way. Let us know who you think really did it. I want to see what you think in the chat. Who do you think is really at the center of this? Who is the villain at the end of the Super Mario Brothers level? I want to know. This episode is season 16 for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Episode 17 is called Game Over. Angela and Charles throw a gala draped in elegance, but with secrets swirling, tensions brewing, and an unexpected guest invited. The night is anything but buttoned up. Portia leans on loved ones as she mourns her cousin's sudden passing. All right, so to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm actually going to give it a 10. For a season finale, I feel like they threw everything in the kitchen sink at us, okay? They threw everything that they possibly could in this episode. You had a ton of events. You had literally, the planning of a memorial service. You had that little coda at the end with Portia in what was formerly known as Portia and Simon's house as Portia's house. They couldn't film her in that house. Well, they couldn't show her in that house all season. So they tacked that little piece on at the end. And baby, let me tell you something. If that wasn't some scandalous shade, I do not know what was. Shout out to Bravo and the production company for basically giving us, okay, what we couldn't get all season from Portia. The biggest complaint a lot of you guys have had a lot of people have had. And something that we noticed is that Portia could not film in that home. And suddenly, Susan, there she is, right in the last 4 seconds. We get to see Portia in her palatial palace. Okay. Portia's palace is humongous. All right. So we'll get into let's get into the episode. I want to give you some thoughts though. I did give this episode a 10. I want to know what you would rate it. Let us know in the chat what you would rate it. Okay, so let's start this episode off because I don't want to. There's a part of me that just wants to dive right in, but I'm kind of gonna try to like hold off a little bit to give you my full thoughts because I want to go in order because I want to give each cast member some just due. Okay, I want to give them some just due. We start the episode off, Portia and her sister Lauren go to visit Phaedra at her house as they are trying to prep for Londy's unfortunate passing, her memorial service. We definitely send, our warm wishes to the family because I know that that's not something that's easy. It's such a hard thing to deal with death, especially because, when you deal with the death of a loved one, people think it's just that death that you kind of more like that have to deal with in the beginning. Nobody tells you how much paperwork there is to be done as soon as this happens. And then to learn that Lauren was actually on the phone with Londy when whatever incident happened. That's got to be like, I'm sure, a phone call that will be emblazoned in her mind for life, probably, because it's such a hard thing to deal with when you are the person who is there when someone passes. So they do deal with that. There's a little bit of comedy injected in that whole situation, mostly because, Portia doesn't know whether or not the butterflies, if they are released, will fly back to their owners. You know what I'm saying? So that's just typical Portia. It is what it is, right? So we definitely send, like I said, warm wishes to the family for that. A couple of other things that we do get into, we see a scene with Kelly and her kids. We get an update on their restaurant, the opening of the Sandy Springs location. We get a quasi wrap-up scene from Drew and Ralph. I really felt like the Drew and Ralph scene was just kind of a forced sit down between the two of them so that we could sort of end the season with them and put a bow on it. But because the scene would have read differently if Ralph had not, over the past several weeks, sort of crashed out and really just dragged Drew through the mud, basically releasing all of these text messages, just basically annihilating her, right? Just annihilating her. So him in this scene wanting to have a conversation and asking how we got here is kind of like, why, right? Like, it made the scene less believable because we know in real time, like currently, that situation went from bad to worse. So it, to me, like you said, it feels unnecessary. It was like, okay, this ain't really real. All right. There's a scene with Angela, and she basically goes to talk to, I guess, maybe a therapist or something like that about the situation that she's got going on with the homes. That I'm going to tell you one thing, dealing with real estate, it can be an overwhelming thing when you are doing fix and flips and that sort of thing. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it is not for the faint of heart, especially to be doing concurrent projects all at once. In my opinion, just based on having my own real estate license and also having gone through that experience, it will probably be best, unless you have a team that's helping you manage this, to do one project at a time. Get one project done and then do the next one. Get another project done and do the next one. But again, I am no expert, but that would just be my advice for Angela moving forward, because when you overwhelm yourself like that, not only do you tax your finances, you tax your bank accounts, you tax, what your ability to, lend and borrow and all of those sorts of things. And if you got it like that, cool. But just because you got it like that don't mean you should. Just because you can do something don't mean you should do something. Okay? That's just some life lessons. All right. We get a scene with Phaedra and Chi. I don't really remember his name, to be honest with you. Somebody asked me last night if that's Phaedra's boyfriend, and I was like, I think that's the guy that's playing her boyfriend on TV. I don't for one second believe that this Phaedra and this man are actually together in any way, shape, or form. She's attractive, he's attractive. So for them to play a couple on TV, I'm sure it's not really hard for either one of them to do. But I just am not buying that he is, filling Phaedra's love tank, even though I get the sense that she don't ever want to be in a marriage again. I just don't really buy it. And I have a hard time buying a lot of these, romances when they kind of come up, because I feel like you can tell when something ain't really real and they're just feeding us something just for the sake of us having it. No disrespect to Phaedra. I mean, I definitely feel like it gives her some story. I'm just telling you that it's hard for me to believe. Period. Okay. Oh, that's his name. My apologies to this man, to this young man, to this person, right? Again, they're both great to look at. So I'm sure looking at each other and wrapping each other's lips around each other's is not hard. It's not a hard sell. I mean, why not? She'll be next on the Love Hotel. I bet you that. Okay. All right. Now, let's get into the nitty gritty of this episode, because now we got to talk about some things that I feel like are going to be a little bit unpleasant for some of you guys to hear. Okay. And we're going to have a real serious ponderosa right now. So if you cannot entertain intellectual dialogue about people without separating a critique from hate, then this is not the conversation for you. So I'm giving you this trigger warning right now. If you know that you can't take it, then log out now. Period. Okay? Because I don't want to hear about it later. Now, let's have a real discussion. Shamea has a showcase for her new music. Now, thus far, I think we, the general public, have only heard maybe 2 songs, right? We've heard the T-shirt song, we've had the Never Had song. The Never Had song is essentially, I think for me, it's an earworm, right? What I mean by that is, the hook gets caught up into it, gets stuck in your head. So I do think that the centered focus on that one song for this season was a smart play for Shamea, because it allowed the song to really sink into our heads. You never had, all of that. It gives, it's stuck in my head. I too have never had, you know what I'm saying? So I get it, right? Now, I don't know. I mean, she had about 18 outfit changes, so I don't know how many songs she sang. Did she do some covers? I mean, maybe somebody that was there can tell us. This is my general critique of Shamea's performance, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you now, right? To me, I felt like she says that it's been 20 years since she performed, so I give her that grace, because I feel like I know what that feeling is like. If I were to step on stage right now and DJ a set, I'm going to be a little rusty, right? I'm going to be a little rusty. But in order for me to step on stage and do a set as a DJ, then that means that I need to put in some hours, okay? I need to spend a couple of weeks putting in some hours each day to perfect my mix, right? I need to work on it. I need to get in the lab, okay? Which means on the board, laptop hooked to the board, right? Hooked to the DDJ, and I need to get to spinning. I need to know what music is out there for the peoples, right? Unless I'm just going to be doing a specific type of music, which is what I would do, right? So if I was going to focus on my 90s R&B, my soca and my Caribbean music, which is what I love, then I got to spend some time in the game. That would be my suggestion for Shamea, to spend a little bit more time in the game. Just spend a little bit more time in rehearsal, because at this point in time, when you do a showcase on a national television show and you're going to be featured and shown all across the world, the thing that you want to make sure that you do is that performance has to be spotless. Okay. It can be a spot it can be a stain on the shirt. It can be a spot on the shirt. It has got to come across flawless. Now, while I think she did good, I think she could have done better. Period. That's it. I think that's a fair assessment, right? And I think she would probably agree with that assessment. She said it herself. That's not to say that she did bad. That's just to say that I think that she probably needed a bit more practice. That's it. And we can be real about that without hating. You know what I'm saying? Because if that's what she wants to do, I want her to do it and be the best at it. And I don't think that performance was her best, but I do think that it was a step in the right direction. You gotta crawl before you ball. Period. And maybe I can only judge off of what I saw on the TV. Sharon says I listened to it on YouTube and it was great. So maybe that's the experience that I need to have. And that's just that. Because I see a lot of live performances. I ain't gonna lie to you. And so for me, just as somebody who not only has been a DJ for acts, not only have I, gone to concerts just like plenty of you guys have, we know music and we know good performances when we see one. We know stellar, we know great, and then we know, hey, you could have done a little bit more. And I think that that's where Shamea is. And with some work, I feel like I have to give it to her because unlike Drew, okay, who has a bomb album, what Shamea did, I feel like is at least she accomplished something on the show with regards to her story. Okay. She tied it together at the end. She had the gumption and the gall to put it together to get on the stage. That to me needs to be something that is actually celebrated because Drew couldn't even do that. Drew, in my estimation, now that I look back at this season, played more of the role of a friend of a show than she did an actual cast member because number one, she was perpetually late. I feel like the crew, the production treated her like a friend. So they say she's just a friend at this point. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's the role that she technically played. Love Drew, love her down. She showed up looking great in every scene, but she gave about as much as Cynthia did. Let's call a thing a thing. Let's be real. They were on par with the same amount of screen time, just about, right? When you really think about it, and Cynthia, as a friend, even had a group event. Drew never had a group event. Cynthia was on Watch What Happens Live more than Drew. Period. Like, let's really call it out. Now, whether that's Drew's fault, the production's fault, I don't really know. All I can tell you is what I'm left with as a viewer. Period. Next. Shamea versus Britt. The ladies congregate after Shamea's performance. I guess Cynthia did a quick one too. Cynthia was at the event for no less than 30 seconds, ran to the back, told Shamea that Britt told her and Portia that she saw all of Portia and Shamea's messages, and then Cynthia fled the scene of the crime. Okay. So Cynthia did a 1-2 twirl and she was out of the event. Okay. Out. Period. Cynthia said, give me my check. I'm out the door. Cynthia low-key probably has a day rate. What do I mean by a day rate? A day rate is basically when, and I don't know if this, I'm thinking that they have this, but this is what I've heard before because I've heard that this is what happened with Luann that season that she was a friend. You come in and basically you film for the day. You get your coin and you go about your way. You film when you can, you do what you can, you come in, you look fab, and you leave. You don't have to wait for your check. You ain't got to do all of this wada wah wooty woo and back on out. Here's the thing about this now. Now, let's address the Shamea and Britt of it all because I really want to get into this. I'm going to be very honest with you. For me, I feel like the reason Britt said what she said about Shamea was because Shamea ambushed her in Grenada by talking about the fact that, oh, this is what you should donate. So if we're going to be rolling around in Birkins and Benzes, right, then we should be giving like we live. Okay. So my thought was this: if you took her to dinner off camera to then have a conversation to educate her about what she should be donating, why would you then all of a sudden, when you get to Grenada, now the situation has completely changed and now you want to out her in public? If you wanted to out her in public, you would have sat down and filmed that dinner. This is what I think happened with Shamea, and this is why I'm calling her Ride Along 2 right now. I call Kelly Ride Along 1. Shamea is Ride Along 2, and now the two are together and they are one. Here is why I feel that way. Because I think that the timing of Britt versus Kelly and the glam thing happened while they were in Grenada. What I think happened is that Kelly told Shamea what was going on with the glam, and the two of them, because they are both kind of ride along characters, meaning Kelly used to ride along with Britt. If Britt had a problem with somebody, Kelly did too. Similar to ride along to being Shamea. When Portia had a problem with somebody, even though Shamea was feeling some type of way about their friendship, Shamea had to let it be known to everybody. I've never seen somebody work so hard to prove their loyalty to someone. If you've got to work that hard to prove your loyalty to someone, I don't really feel like you. I feel like you're doing too much for what? You working too hard for what? If you got to prove all this, that means that there's some level of insecurity that is happening here, and I don't really quite understand it. Like, it always has to be. It seems like Shamea plus a one, right? Whether that's going to be Portia or whether that's going to be Kelly. Like, I understand the best friend thing, but like, girl, I need you to stand on your own. You are a rich woman. You running up behind these other girls, to me, is crazy. And as much work as you put into running up behind some of them, it also looks crazy to me, right? It looks insane. So that's why I feel like there was this sudden switch with you in Grenada with Kelly and Britt, because you were now riding along with Kelly against Britt because Kelly was upset because Britt was now using her glam squad, which Kelly told Britt to use in the first place. Period. That's the end of the story. So the reason why Britt now is unleashing the Glock on you is, I mean, not, Lord, let me not put the Glock and Britt in the same sentence, Lord. Anyway, let me walk that one back, okay? The reason why Britt, in my opinion, unloaded that to Cynthia and Portia is because you flipped the script on her in Grenada. That's what I think. And so now, when you are confronting her about what she told now that you are confronting Britt about what she told Portia, you have to deflect, because Portia in the last episode said, well, actually, my lawyer didn't say it, my therapist did. How would Britt have known what was said in general if you didn't show it to her? This is not the first time that people are saying that you are running back to them and telling your friendship business with somebody else, because Drew and Angela both said that you said similar things. So now it's not too hard to believe that you just might have told Kelly and Britt what you felt about Portia. It seems par for the course, because even some of those things that you said that they are saying you said to Portia in your sit down. So maybe it happened before your sit down, but I believe that it happened, period. So to me, anytime Shamea is confronted with these things, she gets to spinning, right? She gets to spinning. And then it becomes about, oh, you're a hoe, you're a lady of the night, you done pop some pills. All of these are the same. And this is, again, what ties it back to Kelly. These are the same insults. You are regurgitating the same insults that Kelly threw at Britt in her own argument. So now you're not even coming with original reads. You're using recycled ones. Like, I mean, to me, this is again why I felt like Britt should have came to the reunion. Like, I felt like she had a case for herself. Everybody on this show has done wrong. I'm not saying everybody's always right. I'm not saying everybody's always wrong. I'm just pointing out things that are blatantly obvious to me. Period. A lot of periods in this conversation. Exclamation point. All right. Thank you for the super chat. I'm glad you said the Shamea. I mean, listen, it just feels like to me, this is what it feels like with Shamea. It feels like she is fighting the air to maintain her friendship with Portia. by any means necessary. And it feels to me like she needs that confidant, that person by her side. And I almost feel like sort of Kelly does too. Even with the dressing alike with the other person that she did with Britt, now the two of them dressed alike, Shamea and then Kelly dressing alike in Grenada. It's like, what are we watching? Is this High School High? Is this High School Musical? These are grown folk. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? This isn't like, you don't have to be a Bobsy twin with somebody in order to function on this show. Shamea, you were hired for this show because you have an interesting life already. You are interesting enough alone, and you being the glue that was touted for us in the first episode, you're not acting like the glue. You are acting like a side character. Now, there was a comment that Shamea has been telling us all season that Britt said about her child. Britt was talking about you as a mother. Now, was it right? No. When a person hears your child, it's a wrong road. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's a wrong road. It's a wrong road because the person who is aimed at is not going to hear that. All they're going to hear is my child. So we on a wrong road. I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that. Wrong road. But I'm gonna tell you, Britt with the bob is something that I feel like y'all keep trying to play with her. And Britt, every time Britt with the bob throws something at y'all that y'all cannot take. Stop messing with her. Stop it. Stop messing with her. Especially if you're gonna get to running at your own event. Girl, you're supposed to kick her out your event. You kick her out. Don't you get to running down the escalator? Like what? No. No. Okay. No. And I don't know whether, and see, I got to point out Britt's fallacy here as well. Fallacy, but there's an issue that she is going to have. The issue is, girl, then you said that you kind of suspected that Shamea was lying about, her child's diagnosis or whatever was happening with her child. And then you would later say that you didn't say that, but you did say that. So if you're going to say something crazy, you definitely got to own it and stand 10 toes down in it, period. Okay. What if you feel like you was wrong afterwards, then apologize, but stand 10 toes down in it. You said it and you sent her running. Was it right? No. But you did say it. The bobs are dangerous. Okay. I don't know what happened. Ladies, when y'all wear a bob, what happens? Like, when y'all wear a bob, y'all patience be short. Okay. Y'all patience be short. All right. Like, your patience be this thin when y'all be in a bob, baby. Them bobs do not play. Bobs mean business. Ooh, come on. So yeah, I got some more fresh frustrations for Shamea coming up. So hold on. Okay, Arena and that Bob. Y'all be getting jiggy with it with them bobs, baby. All right. Next, we get to Angela and Charles's event. The event looks nice. I feel like this. I like what Angela brings to the table on this show. I like the fact that she has a husband who is outspoken. At times, it's to her detriment. But he's a willing participant. I guess that's what I mean. So for me, in terms of how he shows up for her, I think that that's to be applauded because, he could just be an absentee person and not want his life on television. Now, I've seen a lot of comments about this in the in online on social media. And while I do think that it was amazing that Angela and Charles decided that they would honor Portia, I just don't see or understand why they would choose to honor her at their event. Granted, I think that it was a great moment. It was a beautiful moment, and it maybe goes to show how big of a heart Angela actually does have. But the woman said she would sleep with your husband, or she could sleep with your husband, or implied that she would or could. And so for me, I mean, the moment that she said that, all bets are off. You got to stay as far away from him as possible for her. I mean, I didn't get that. Like, to me, it was given like, what? I didn't really quite understand it, but it was a nice moment. I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel. Like, why would you do that? Jay Marie says, I think Britt realized while filming the after show, she had a lot to answer to and backed out fast. I got the feeling she will blame production. But I don't really feel like she had that much to answer for, to be honest with you. I don't feel like she had any more than Portia. I mean, when Shamea said you stripped down and got naked, she basically said, "Yeah, I did. I'm okay with that." So, what was there for her to really answer for in that moment? So, I just keep your enemies close, keep Portia closer. Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful moment, but I didn't understand it based on the fact that she later on Dish Nation called Portia or said she was acting like a horror. Um, it's odd that that you would choose your event to honor her. But at this point, listen, it was nice. Okay. Moving right along. Yeah, shout out to Dustin. All right. So after the event, the ladies convene and you know, this is where things get really chaotic. We learned earlier in the episode that Angela has met up with Marcus. Marcus is the mystery man from the previous week's episode that approached Angela at Kelly's event to basically tell her that Charles has been with multiple women at his restaurant. I do have a couple of questions about that because for me, I would wonder if if I own a restaurant, I think that the last thing that I want to do would be to talk about my patrons, right? Because I feel like when people come to my restaurant, I don't really care about I don't care who you come in here with. Like, if y'all ain't destroying no property or nothing like that, y'all ain't committing no crimes, and y'all are coming to eat and you come here frequently, the last thing I'm about to do is jeopardize my business for a moment on a reality TV show. I just wouldn't do it. But that's just me. That's just me. I don't know. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, um, Angela probably should have told Charles ahead of time that she was inviting Marcus to their event, because at the end of the day, this event is for a charity, right? So whether it's being filmed or not, and I get it, like you wanted to make a moment, like you really wanted to have him there to speak what is his truth to the person's face. You should have told Charles before you invited that man. All right. Because guess what? Charles could have reacted in that moment because from his perspective, the person is just told either his business or lied on him. Number 2, Marcus could have been in danger because Charles, the enforcer, could have came out. So, and Charles was not playing with her or him. So you really want to do your due diligence and let that man know that you have invited the person that has just told a camera crew full of people that your husband has been cheating on him, and you think your husband's not going to react to that? Like, at least clue him in to the fact that you have a plan. Because now he looking at you crazy. All right, so I think before Angela sits the group down and she goes, what we didn't see in the episode that we later learned by Watch What Happens Live is that Angela, we only saw her point out that it could have been Kelly who threw the event that Marcus ended up at, or it could have been Britt who was not invited to Kelly's event. And what do you know? Ride Along 1, Kelly, and Ride Along 2, Shamea, both think it had to be Britt. Oh my God, it was Britt. That's because y'all beefing with her. The man will basically say it was Phaedra, the Godfather, who sent him via Junebug. But Ride Along 1 and Ride Along 2 were like, it was Britt. This man looked Phaedra in his face and said it was her. But y'all screaming about it was Britt because y'all don't like her now. But y'all sure enough liked her in the beginning. Y'all knew all about her past in the beginning. Y'all knew everything about her, but now she a hoe and a lady of the night. Now, if it were before Marcus showed up and they thought that maybe, I could say maybe that could, because we were all trying to figure it out. But Phaedra said on Watch What Happens Live that Angela actually went down the whole list of girls of who it could have been, with the exception, I think, of maybe Portia and Drew or Portia and Cynthia, I think. So I think the production of all that kind of gives me a side eye too, because I'm kind of like, I wouldn't even go through all of that. Like, we would just get down to business if it were me. And if I were Angela, if it were me, so Marcus, sit down right here and tell Phaedra why you said it was her. Period. I'm not gonna put these other girls through all that. I'm not gonna give that type of dramatic, because I just feel like at this point now, it's about Charles's reputation. It's about what this man is saying about Charles. But you playing around with this whole clue situation. Was it Professor Plum? Was it Miss Scarlet in the kitchen or the library? No, girl, get down to it. Get down to it. This is why I say it's hard for me to trust what I'm seeing on my screen, because I don't get a lot of it, right? The other thing I don't get, because I'm knee deep in this as Sherlock Homeboy right now. Okay. I'm letting you guys know I'm knee deep in this as Sherlock Homeboy. The other things that I don't get are this interaction right here. All right. So I want you to read this. Shout out to our friends over at Reality Entertainment TV. Someone says, my only criticism with Angela staging Marcus to come to the event to tell his side is that she didn't run it by Charles first. I did say that. That could have went completely left and fully ruined his beautiful event. He had every right to kick him out when he laid eyes on him. I'm glad it didn't. So then Marcus responds, or who I believe to be Marcus, says, get the lies together, Angela. Angela then says, Marcus, see you in court, my love. Now, this is the same person that she was holding hands with, guiding him back over to the group. This is the same person that Drew was holding hands with, guiding him over to the group. But how all of a sudden now is it a lie? What is the lie? I mean, I don't know for certain. Like, I have no idea what's really happening here. But why is Marcus saying that Angela's lying? Angela's now taking him to court. Was it Phaedra or was it not? Because in the episode, Marcus says that it was Phaedra, the Godfather, who is running the streets of Atlanta. I mean, Phaedra must be running. Phaedra is running around the streets of Atlanta, literally setting the people up. Okay. According to Marcus. Now, Angela in the episode believes with all of her being that this is Phaedra's doing. Why? Why does she believe that? Because she then says that, well, Phaedra, it was you that gave me the game. It was you that told me his name, his full name, and where he worked. Phaedra is out. Let me just say this. If Phaedra did that, Phaedra is less than smart. Okay? If Phaedra did this, if Phaedra had the envelope delivered via Junebug, whoever that is, to Marcus with said documentation. But here's the thing. So the man was not at your restaurants? And would you be willing to sacrifice your business at your restaurant for the free? Because guess what? Now, if I'm thinking about going to your restaurant, I got to be wondering, like, oh, who you going to tell that I'm here if I'm a patron? So as an owner, would you be willing to risk your restaurant and your business reputation for something that was delivered to you in an envelope and it won't no cash involved in it? You ain't getting paid for this? I don't understand it. And then Phaedra would then be so, dare I say, incompetent in her scheme to then run back to Angela and tell her the man's full name and where he works. Well, he works at the restaurant. No? Does he not? It all just doesn't really make sense to me. So Phaedra is adamant that it has nothing to do with it. I don't even know you. Who knows? Like, why would I do that? Why would I come back to this? And listen, now let's get on Phaedra because she does something that I think is bananas. Okay. Phaedra, if you, as Angela is going off on her, Angela is reading her up and down about how you left one friendship group and then came back to the friendship group doing the same dang old thing. Angela did lay Phaedra out to dry. Okay. And as she was hanging Phaedra by the clothes hanger, okay, outside, and Phaedra is dangling in the wind like a sheet, she throws out this flimsy insult about Angela being in foreclosure. Angela's like, girl, that ain't new. I'm dealing with this thing every day. That was probably the funniest thing Angela said to me. Like, what? Girl, that's the least of my problems right now. Yes, I got 4 houses about to go into foreclosure. You ain't saying nothing new to me. Get out of here with that. But the thing about it is this. Phaedra, in her attempts to defend herself, throws that out there. And it doesn't quite land for me. But it felt like it didn't help Phaedra's defense. Because if you're so new here and you say that you know nothing about her, you know enough about her to know that she's in foreclosure. Now, the odd thing that happened after that is, so Marcus, when nobody believes him, okay, like half the girls don't believe him, half the girls don't know what to believe, he gets up and he walks off. He's not doing this. Angela throws out an insult at Phaedra. She did what Britt did. She brought up the cheering. Do you let your ex see their father? Do you let the kids see their father? If you're going to crucify one person, you got to crucify both people for doing it. All right? Now, Angela is still going at it, going ham on Phaedra, literally laying her out to dry, hanging her up by the clothesline. Shamea, right along too, now is like, oh, but Britt said something about my cheering too. I should have beat her ass. What Britt should have said was, do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. The thing that Britt says though is, was that a threat? And at that point, Shamea is like, oh, just like you threatened Kenya with a gun, you threatened her with a pow pow. Okay. Then she gets to calling Britt all types of hoes and skanks and all types of low-level insults that I just feel like, I think that Shamea is a beautiful girl. I think that she is fun. I think that she has I think at her core, she has a good heart. But the Shamea that we were sold in the beginning is not the Shamea that arrived at our doorsteps. You ever seen something online and you were like, oh my God, that looks fabulous. Then when you got it, you were like, well, no, wait, it's some parts missing or something. I don't know what's happening here. Like, this thing isn't doing what I thought it was going to do. Right. That's Shamea, in my opinion, as a housewife. As a person, I think she's probably a fun person. I would love to have a shot o'clock with her, right? Like, hey, I think you can hang out with Shamea and have a bomb time. We could act crazy, silly, all of that. But a lot of times, as for her to be the glue and introduced to us as a glue, there's something that we should have seen in episode 1 that should have clued us in to Shamea's brand of humor / housewives. In episode 1, the very first thing that she tells us in her first confessional is that she ends up blowing up her man's bathroom. She talks about this whole poop story. That should have been an indication for us right then and there about the type of humor that she was going to be providing throughout the season. While I do think that there was something endearing about that confessional, and I thought that it was fun in the beginning, too much poop is not a good thing. Poop humor to me kind of describes like her brand of humor, like singing about the booty hole in the car with Portia, and you know, the incessant shot o'clock, shot o'clock, shot o'clock, shot o'clock, shot o'clock. The low level sort of like hooker horror reads. They just don't seem to be emblematic of the person that I felt like we were going to be getting at the beginning of the season. And I think that's the reason why it has felt like sometimes a disappointment, because not only that, but then it seemed like she worked very hard to be a side character when we have all wanted for Shamea to be the main character and carry main character energy. It almost seems like she puts herself in this position to be just the best friend. So, I mean, maybe that's it. V. Spencer says Shamea lives the lifestyle. She's not of the lifestyle. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Yeah, that's the only. I mean, that's the only thing I can say about it. But I think that that's the position that, for whatever it seems like, she's fighting to stay there. Because a lot of this energy that this angst and this energy that she has for, because her justification for why Britt did it was because Britt and Angela had a face-off. But you failed to mention that Angela also called you Flavor Flav after you told her she had a 99 nose. You were the first person to argue with Angela. So it could have been you. Could it not? I don't believe it was, but I'm just saying, if that's your logic, then the same goes for you. No? But that's just my thoughts on Shamea. I feel like, to me, she was probably my biggest disappointment this season. because I felt like her expectations started so high. Maybe the problem is me. Maybe I had too high of an expectation for her as a housewife. And maybe I should have tempered those expectations, and maybe let me see what she does in her second season, because I feel like maybe she'll take some of this to heart and come back as her own person, which is I think what we all want. What does that look like, you may ask, right? I think it looks like standing 10 toes down on things that feel right or wrong, um regardless of who you are aligned with. And sometimes on these shows, when a person is doing something that's wrong, i.e., telling another person that they should sleep with their husband, you sitting there chuckling in the background, knowing that you're a married woman, like, how do you feel about that? What did you feel like that was a right thing to say or a right thing to do? I mean, like, because now this is the same person that you have a lot of issues with, and also addressing those issues, no matter how big or powerful you think that that person is or what the history was. You've got to face the facts and face how you really feel about these situations. Everything that Angela, Drew, and Britt have been saying that you said can't be untrue. Um, so hopefully she can have some time at this reunion to redeem herself and come back next season. I think with a different frame of mind and a readiness to stand alone and be independent and not always being somebody else's Bobsy twin. Okay. So where are we left off with everything? Phaedra and Angela. I don't think we still know um who set this whole situation up. Was it Todd that came to us with the BS? I don't know. Was it Phaedra, as Angela and Marcus had once said? I would have thought maybe it was, because that's what the evidence seemed to point to. But because of stuff like this, it confuses me even more. What would be the reason to take him to court, and what is she lying about according to him? So it makes us kind of like wonder, who do we believe in this situation? Who do we believe? Who do we believe? Lorraine. So I kind of feel like it. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think that she needs to create drama so that we don't miss the dynamic of her and her husband. I think that her living her authentic life, which is really facing the issues that she has with Portia, and if she's the glue in the group, I felt like she could have spent more time trying to mitigate some of the drama and less time trying to follow up behind somebody else who has it. That's just me. um, you know, it must have been Colonel Mustard in the lounge with the candlestick, because we don't know who did it at this point or why. And that's the other thing. If Phaedra did do this, why would she do it? Andy said on the on Watch What Happens Live, he was like, "Why would you do this? You were basically benched from Real Housewives of Atlanta." I was like, "Well, Andy, go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it, child. You was benched. All right, you was benched, girl. We set you down, right?" Um, but Phaedra, interestingly, did something I thought was just odd to me. She spent a lot of time asking why she would do it, and a lot less time just saying, "No, I ain't do that. I wouldn't do it." It's crazy. Period. I don't know. It was almost like, why would you think that I could do this? It almost felt like a little bit of gaslighting versus just saying, I did not do that. I would not do it. End of story. I don't care about her marriage. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that we are left with, I think, more questions than answers. According to the after show, Portia feels like Angela did it to herself. I want you to write in the chat, who do you think did it? Who do you think set this whole thing up with Angela and Charles and Marcus? Do you think it was Phaedra? Do you think it was Kelly who actually threw the event? Do you think it was Britt, as Shamea and Kelly think? Or do you think, like Portia, that Angela did this to herself? Because if she did, that is insane. That's some wild work right there. And who in the world is Junebug? And why would Marcus say it was Phaedra if it really wasn't? Did somebody pay him to say Phaedra? But I thought he wasn't paid. I just have so many questions. So many questions. This reminds me of that season on The Real Housewives of New Jersey. I think it was maybe season 4, or was it 4 or 5, where they had the posh fashion show and there was some rumors that was going to come out about Melissa Gorga being a stripper, and everybody thought Teresa had something to do with it. That's what this whole situation reminds me of. That's what it reminds me of. Who is Junebug? That's what I'm saying. Like, what? I don't know if he was I don't know if he was mic'd, because a lot of times what they might have had a boom mic, or maybe he was mic'd. I don't know. But he was definitely kicked out of the event. Mickey says it was a group project. I don't know. I mean, for me, if I'm doing an investigation, the first person I'm looking at is the person that invited the person that created the guest list. That's where I'm going first, right? Then I'm gonna I think that Angela did the smart thing by reaching out to him directly, and he said on camera that it was Phaedra. But it makes no sense why Phaedra would do something like that and then go back and tell Angela who he is and what he does. Like, girl, like, if that was your plan, shouldn't you distance yourself from it? I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, that's what we're left with the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16. Overall, I thought it was a good season. I'm happy with it. I hate that I have so many questions now that I don't feel like we're really going to get answers to. I feel like they will probably come back next season and skate all over this. Abu says he believes Phaedra was fed info about Portia, because why else come in with all that smoke for Drew and Angela? She did it to support her frick to her frack. Ay, 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 man. Bruce said it was all a setup with production via Todd. Todd. This is crazy. And I'm like reading all of your comments because I'm just so fascinated. I don't feel like I have the answers, honestly. Like, I do think that I love the show and I love trying to figure these things out. But I have so many questions, and I'm just kind of reading through your responses, and I'm like, it's so many different ways to think about it. So if it wasn't Phaedra, then who was it? And then why say it was Phaedra? So I actually got this at a vintage store in it was off of Rodeo Drive, not Rodeo Drive, Lord have mercy. Which street was that? It's near the Beverly Center in LA. Very much given Alfred Hitchcock movie because I don't know who done it. Mm. Okay, I'm trying, boo. I just can't call it. I just can't call it. It's too many questions and too many variables, and too many people have kind of gone back and forth, and the stories have changed. And now, it's see you in court. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's accusing her of lying. She's saying, I'll see you in court. Come on, Junebug Tucker. I'm sure Todd is like, how I get in it? How I get in everything? Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. I'm sure this mystery will continue to plague us for quite some time now. Um, it is baffling to me how somebody was just allowed to walk up in this situation. That's what also gives me pause because I'm like, he was just allowed to just kind of come up and say whatever. Somebody had to have sent him, but who? And who would have authorized him to be able to work his way into a scene with the ladies? That's the questionable part for me. But like I said, we got more questions than answers. Okay. I know I was cracking up laughing because I was trying to watch everything to get all the tea. And just see what I could piece together. And nothing, I've come away with no answers that really make any sense. Nothing. All right, y'all. So listen, make sure you guys keep it locked to the channel. If you have some thoughts or theories, let us know. Like this video if you like reality TV related content. And I guess we'll be back for another season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm hearing they are going to be filming soon. So we got to get through this reunion first. We will have next week off from the Real Housewives of Atlanta recaps, but they will be back on July 13th, I believe, for another episode. So next Sunday, you will have the weekend off, right? Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mm. Mm. No, but I do know Phaedra is back, so there's that. I would assume we're gonna get the same cast, maybe plus or minus one or two. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah, we'll be back with another video whenever some more news that pops off, y'all. So with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next video.